How PayPal Mafia became the biggest founders of $1.3 trillion companies. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a part of the most infamous group in Silicon Valley? Did it ever cross your mind that Silicon Valley is run by some of the most powerful and rich CEOs? These individuals and groups have been coined together as the PayPal Mafia. To be a part of the group, the requirements entail being a former PayPal employee, knowing how to become a founder of $1 billion company, and having the worst fashion sense in the world. These ridiculously dressed men above with their baggy, ill-fitted business suits and ridiculous tracksuits are worth billions upon billions of dollars. Unfortunately, we can laugh at them all we want, but they can just wipe their tears with their stacks of dollar bills. The PayPal Mafia has been successful in ranking in the dough and becoming the biggest founders of billion-dollar companies, which is perhaps even more impressive. Take a look at how these big-shot entrepreneurs managed to pull it off. What is the PayPal Mafia? Contrary to its name, this group of misfits isn't actually a mafia group. Think Illuminati, but a lot less serious than that. It's more of a diaspora. In other words, it is a migration of people from one large company to a gathering. The group started in the 1990s as the executives of what was PayPal. Although PayPal was sold to eBay in 2002, the Mafia still continue to work and invest together in many businesses and venture capital investments. Between them, they have founded, funded, or led some of the world's biggest tech companies, such as Tesla, LinkedIn, Palantir Technologies, SpaceX, Affirm, Slide, Kiva, YouTube, Yelp, and Yammer. The Mafia includes billionaires like Peter Thiel, Max Levchin, and even the internet-famous Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Basically, we were kicked out of our homeland and they burned down our temple. So we were scattered to the four corners of the globe and we had to make new homes. That's how David Sacks, former COO of PayPal and current CEO of Yammer, put it into words. The mysterious arsonist in this story is eBay, as they are partly responsible for PayPal's success and the departure of the creators of PayPal. eBay became both the villain and the hero in the PayPal Mafia narrative. It's bizarre that the majority of PayPal's early employees, and the PayPal Mafia in general, were recruited by friends rather than by headhunters. But despite the idea being unconventional, it actually worked like clockwork in the long run. Sacks proclaimed that this group of individuals were cut from the same cloth. He explained that this is how they all had such a strong entrepreneurial mindset from the start. What's more out of the ordinary is the exit becoming the spark for the renewal of a local economy and a specific type of investment. Despite all odds, this is what happened when PayPal was acquired by eBay in the summer of 2002. Some of the original PayPal team members went on to found some of the most famous startups and make some of the most successful investments of all time. In Silicon Valley, the PayPal Mafia is defined as the Mountain View PayPal team, either pre-IPO or pre-acquisition, depending on which founding member you ask. Talk about legendary work. Don Peter Thiel. If you're familiar with any mafia slang or have seen the movie The Godfather at least once, then you'd know that a Don is essentially like the father of the Mafia. He is the foundation and pillar, the man in charge, and the guy who takes care of everyone. In this case, Peter Thiel is fondly referred to as the Don of the PayPal Mafia. It all began when Peter was in the 5th grade. His family immigrated from Germany to San Francisco, California, where he still is to this day. A passionate chess player, he eventually achieved world-class status, but some passions just don't tend to stick like you wish they would. Moving away from the chess scene, Peter studied at Stanford University, where he earned his BA in philosophy and went on to earn his law degree. If intelligence and hard work had a name, it would be Peter Thiel. While there, Thiel served as the editor-in-chief of the Stanford Review and co-hosted a podcast with his friend Reid Hoffman. The two would go on to found PayPal in 1998, which will be explained more as we go along. Later, Peter drifted away from the legal field and took a liking in building up an empire. He may be ambitious, but he had the credentials to back himself up. After being a law clerk and derivatives trader for a year, He had enough money in the piggy bank to launch his little pursuit. One day, after giving a lecture at Stanford, Max Levchin approached Peter and offered him an idea for a company. In Palo Alto, California, Max was a visionary tech entrepreneur that wanted to make software to secure mobile phones. Peter agreed to invest in Max's company over breakfast the next morning after hearing about it, and the rest was history. In short, Peter had the ideas, and Max was the tech guy. Together, they were unstoppable. It then evolved into a money transfer service that would change how people interacted with online payments. Yep, you guessed it. Their brain baby would later become what we know as PayPal. Everyone in the world needs money to get paid, to trade, to live. Paper money is an ancient technology and an inconvenient means of payment. You can run out of it, it wears out, it can get lost or stolen. In the 21st century, people need a form of money that's more convenient and secure. Something that can be accessed from anywhere with a PDA or an internet connection, is how Thiel put it in his inspirational speech, as Eric M. Jackson referred to it as in his book called The PayPal Wars. Intelligence, hard-working ethic, and the ability to be persuasive. Is there something Mr. PayPal can't do? Yeah, probably keep his own company, that is. Now this is where the PayPal Mafia's origin story begins. eBay soon learned about PayPal's technology and integrated it into its marketplace. By 2002, about 25% of all eBay transactions were paid for using PayPal, motivating eBay to purchase the company for $1.5 billion that year. Peter made it out of this deal with $55 million. He is now a partner at Founders Fund in San Francisco, and his net worth is currently $4.9 billion. Max Levchin, tech mogul. Next on the PayPal Mafia list is tech boy wonder Max Levchin, who, if you can recall, was the other guy behind conceptualizing an online wallet alongside Peter Thiel. Max, formerly known as Maximilian Rafalowicz Levchin, was born to a family of physicists in Soviet-era Ukraine. As a child, Max battled life-threatening respiratory diseases. His parents were told he won't live very long. With his mother's encouragement, an ambitious young Max began playing the clarinet to help raise his lung capacity. Doctors eventually stopped trying to predict how much time he had left. Seems like something out of a tragic Marvel villain's backstory, but stay with me. In 1991, things started looking up for Levchin and his family when they decided to leave the Soviet Union seeking political asylum and settled in Chicago. He remembers traveling from Moscow on a Pan Am flight with only $700 in their pockets to begin a new life in America. By the time they arrived in the United States, the Soviet Union fell. My family immigrated to the United States as refugees. I was a man without a country. My red Soviet passport was a passport to no country. America offered us safety and opportunity, stated Levchin. $700 now is what would be just like pocket money to Max. It's kind of awe-inspiring how far he's come. His life starts taking a turn after studying computer science at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Levchin moved to Silicon Valley, aka PayPal Mafia's turf, where he met Peter Thiel and co-founded FieldLink, a security company that allows users to keep encrypted data on their PDA devices. The idea behind it was that these devices would represent digital wallets. FieldLink's name changed to Confinity in the same year. Levchin continues recruiting Illinois engineers to join him and Nozick in the Bay Area to develop the company that would become PayPal. In 2000, Confinity combined with X.com, an online banking company founded by Elon Musk. The fused company settled and renamed it into PayPal and released it to the public in 2002. PayPal may seem like a recent thing that just popped up a couple of years ago, but it's a lot older than we think. That was also the same year that PayPal was bought by eBay for $1.5 billion. Levchin's 2.3% share in PayPal is worth around $34 million at the time of the buyout, which isn't a bad cut at all, but he goes on to make even more money. Despite the turnover of authority to eBay, Levchin continues working for PayPal, but because of the more traditional and corporate culture that the workspace shifted into, which contrasted their old free-flowing and creative work ethic, 12 out of the 50 original PayPal employees decided to leave, including Lev Chin himself. But since he bonded so much with some of his colleagues, they remained connected and went on to create their own companies in the years to come. Thus, the notorious PayPal Mafia was born. In 2002, he was dubbed by MIT Technology Review as one of the top 100 innovators in the world under the age of 35 category and was called Innovator of the Year. The 2 cents that he gave to PayPal were focused mostly on anti-fraud endeavors and fighting off bots that internet trolls generate. He created the Gorsbeck-Levchin test, which is one of the first commercial administrations of CAPTCHA. In other words, he's the "Are you a robot?" guy. Levchin went from being a sickly immigrant with a breathing capacity of a small rodent all the way from Soviet Russia to being the founder and CEO of a firm in San Francisco, and now has a net worth of $1.9 billion. Not bad, Mr. Maximilian Rafailovich Levchin. You're probably tired of hearing about Elon Musk this, Elon Musk that, but there's a reason why the whole world is so fixated and intrigued by the Tesla CEO. His reputation precedes him. Before he was Elon Musk, he was just a nerd with a dream. It all started all the way back in 1999, where he came up with a company called X.com, which he liked to refer to as a one-stop shop for financial needs. Then word got around about this company that was also focused on online finances called Affinity, and it became a light bulb moment for Musk. So he went down the street, it was literally only a couple of steps away, and had a word with our friend Peter Thiel. And when he stepped out that door, PayPal was born. With X.com and Affinity fusing into what we now know as PayPal, they started taking over the entire online banking world. Of course, being the first of their kind definitely added a lot of value to PayPal. By 2001, they already had a whopping 4 million customers and were dubbed as a preferred payment provider for 50% of auctions that were held on eBay. Talk about a foreshadowing, right? Since PayPal was such a huge convenience for eBay, the people working over there started rubbing their hands together and plotting to buy out PayPal. And they actually did. They bought it for a fat sum of $1.5 billion in stock. It may seem like a ton of cash, but trust me when I say the value has skyrocketed ever since. Musk walked away perhaps the happiest out of the bunch because he got the lion's share of the cut, 11.7% and $180 million to be exact. He used some of that cash to create SpaceX and co-own Tesla. Now, Elon isn't just the largest shark in the PayPal Mafia, he's also the largest shark in the world. Elon Musk regularly competes with Jeff Bezos for the title of being the richest man in the world. BFFs for life. The end of their PayPal careers were bittersweet for the people of the PayPal Mafia. Sad because they don't work alongside each other in their little cubbyholes anymore, but maybe just a tiny bit of celebration because they can now wipe their tears of nostalgia with their seas of green paper. Just like a typical coming-of-age movie from the 80s, they all found their ways in the world and became even more successful entrepreneurs than they initially were. They all started off as a couple of dudes with dreams working under the same company, and now they all have more money than they know what to do with. Whether it's how Silicon Valley secretly has a mafia of rich people, or PayPal being the source of such sharks and billionaire moguls, both are interesting notions to consider. Which one do you think is more interesting? It's awesome to think that everyone at PayPal at the time was all cut from the same cloth, going into business and raking in millions and billions of dollars.